It's Sunday night. You know what time it is? It's Pro Prep Baseball. I'm here talking baseball with Tommy Weber. Hey, Tommy, what's happening?
What's up? Great to
All
see
right.
you, man. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. I'm going to check out and make sure our feed's coming through on YouTube. And there we go. Let's see. Yep, there it is. All right. We look good on YouTube. Let me go check Facebook real quick and make sure we're good there. And I'll start a watch party. There it is. Sounds good on Facebook. Let me start a watch party. A launch party. All right. Here we go. What are we talking about, Tommy? Baseball? Movies?
Yeah.
Hot chicks? No.
How bad? How terrible are the umpires? Oh my God.
They're terrible. They are bad. Oh my
They
God,
really
that's right.
are bad. They're bad. And this is not. I don't want to hear about the game being faster and all this other nonsense. They are really bad. There was a
There we
play
go.
today. Cardinals and the Mets. Cano. What's his name? Mickey Callaway got thrown out. He had to get thrown out.
Yeah. Boom got thrown out today too.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. I thought it was today. Oh, yesterday. Yeah, all right. I saw that in the highlights this morning. But yeah, I mean, it's just that
They stink. I'm sorry.
Even with
I don't
instant
work for Major
replay.
League Baseball. The umpires are terrible. Instant replay is an unmitigated disaster. A disaster.
it just points out how bad they really are. And then
Does.
they get defensive about it.
They're more. You would think that when it's now exposed that you're really not that good,
Yeah.
that you'd want to get better. Just the opposite has happened. They've gotten more arrogant, more belligerent, and they've gotten worse. The umpiring this year is atrocious. I can't believe the type and the scope of the calls that they are getting wrong. You know, like checked swings where the umpire obviously misses it and then he calls it a foul. I think it was the Met game. It might have been the Met game or the Yankee game. You could see he got beat by the pitch and then he says foul ball. Foul ball. The replay shows he missed the pitch by like a foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this.
Well, that's because he missed the call. That's all.
Yeah, but you got to be better than that. I mean, look. This is a long time coming. This started 20 years ago, and we started anointing these umpires and backing off, and nobody gives them a hard time. So if nobody gives you a hard time, you have no reason to stay on your game. Arguing was not just a show; it had a purpose, and the purpose was it kept umpires on their toes. Now nobody's allowed to argue with an umpire, so they essentially are bulletproof. They can do anything they want. As Ron Culpa said to A.J. Hinch, I'll do whatever I want. That's exactly what he said.
Look, and it's not new, right? I had umpires tell me that back in 1994, I had an umpire one time, Tommy, because I questioned an umpire's call. The ball bounced to the plate, and he called it a strike because he wanted to prove his point to me. I was like, really? Really? You're going to do that? That's totally ridiculous. So, yeah. They think, well, with instant replay now, you really, they can do what they want, but it's going to be, there to be reviewed over and over again.
It's a real problem. It has to be fixed. And unfortunately,
Uh-oh. We lost you. Tommy Weber went down, ladies and gentlemen. I'm all by myself. Let me see if I can bring him back. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me disconnect Tommy and reconnect Tommy. I got you.
anyway,
All right, I lost you for a second. You are back.
unfortunately, everybody shills for the game, so they check their self-respect at the door. These announcers, the guys from MLB, all the commentators, all the play-by-play guys, and all the color guys, all basically turn their backs and turn a blind eye to what you cannot help but see is that this is a real problem in baseball.
Yeah. I don't disagree. The umpires have always been bad, but with
Not
the
this
instant
bad.
replay, the instant replay, it just makes them worse. It's almost like they feel like they don't even have to do any work. Man.
Right.
They can just make whatever call they want, be out of position, not even know the rules. Did you see Flash Gordon there turn that double play yesterday on the Angels?
No, I didn't.
He pop up, man on first base, pop up to second base. Actually, it was to the first baseman. But D. Gordon came in behind him and said, "Let it drop." And
I love that.
because the guy who hit it didn't run.
There you go.
And it's
That's
not,
why you run.
Yeah, and it's not
Infield fly.
it's not an infield fly rule. So D. Gordon ran right up behind him and said, "Let it drop." Boom, picked it up, threw it to second, threw it to first, double play. I was like, that's what you get for not running, you big league. All that money, Tom, and they can't run 90 feet, man.
Gotta run.
Can't run
No
90
excuse
feet.
for that.
Oh, the guy was walking back to the dugout too. The hitter, he turned and he was walking back to the dugout, and then he looked back over his shoulder, and they was
love
like,
it.
and the manager's face, man, you could just see his face, like, are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. Wow. I mean, that just tells you the state of the game right there. That's the state of the game right there. Nobody feels like they have to run. They're going to bat flip. They're going to, jump off the pit, do a backflip after they strike somebody out.
Yep.
And then, like you said, the next thing you know, there's a fight, right? Bench clear and brawl, right? And then they have the commercial, too, with the let the kids play, let the kids have fun. Really? You're celebrating like it's the 7th game of the World Series on a home run to win a game in April? Come on.
Well, if flying with chefs on an airplane, staying in the best hotels in the world, playing in front of 40,000 people, many of which are gorgeous women who are adoring you, playing against the best in the world, making a lot of money, isn't enough fun for you, then you should find something else to do. I mean, what's next? What's next? What is fun about that? You know what this all is? It's not fun. It's a way to get yourself on television. It's a way to bring attention to yourself for something other than what you accomplish. The home run is enough. The bat flip doesn't make the home run better. When Chris Archer strikes a guy out, his histrionics afterwards doesn't make you get 2 outs. You still only get 1 out. And the bottom line is this. I got no problem with your behavior, but you better have no problem with my response, because you're going to piss somebody off, which is what happens inevitably.
Yep.
And eventually you're going to have a fight, and somebody's going to get thrown on the ground and get a separated shoulder and be out for the season. And then people will clamor as to how we can stop the violence in baseball. Well, the way you do it is by handing down some kind of edict to the ball clubs to tone down this kind of stuff, because somebody's going to get hurt.
You know what? Act like you've been there before is my motto.
I agree. And also, don't wake up the sleeping giant.
Yeah. Don't.
Why would you prod?
Why would you do that?
Of fun. Last year, the Yankees tie up the Red Sox. Game 2. Mm-hmm. Aaron Judge, who,
I remember.
He's a kid. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Walks out of Fenway Park, and New York is blaring. I know what that means. I know what he was doing. It was really ill-advised. You know why? The Red Sox took that personally. The Red Sox schooled the Yankees the next 2 games, and you know what they played in the Yankee clubhouse, in the visitors' clubhouse, as they celebrated because they were going to the World Series? New York, New York. You know what song they played when they celebrated their World Series victory? New York, New York.
Exactly.
So if you don't think for a second that people hear that and that it pisses them off, then you should think again, because it does.
No, I agree. I think you should act like you've been there before. You hit a home run, drop the bat, run around the bases. You don't need to show up the pitcher, all right? His job is tough enough. You know that as a hitter. It ain't easy.
Look, it's patently,
it ain't
it's
easy
unprofessional,
Yeah.
and it's amateurish, and most times it's kind of infantile.
No.
And for a league, and for a game where guys don't run to first base, if you have the energy to do all of that other nonsense,
you can run to
you
first
should
base.
have the energy to run to first base a couple of times a night,
Yeah.
because that's really all you have to do.
Yeah. I just don't understand it. Act like you've been there before. I'll respect you more as a fan and as a player if you act like you've been there before.
Well, the problem is you have a abiding, enabling press that puts this stuff on ESPN and on MLB and rates the best bat flips, and they think they think Chris Archer is just enthusiastic. He's not enthusiastic. He's a provocateur. He's trying to show you up, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, standing up 90 feet, not 90 feet, but 60 feet, 6 inches away from somebody and throwing a ball at him, That's to me, that's a coward move. How about you just come over here and we can just talk this out? How about we do that? How about you come to home plate and we just talk it out, man to man? Throwing a ball at me 90 miles an hour. Yeah, when you got the advantage, that's not really manly, I would say. Good luck to you. So, and I never get it. I never get it, Tommy. I never get it. When the pitcher throws at the hitter charges the mound. You know what I would do? I would just turn around and tackle the catcher and just rip his mask off and start punching him in the face. That's exactly what I would do. I wouldn't run after the pitcher. That just set you up.
Joey Votto did. Pick the ball up and throw it back to the pitcher.
And just flip it to him? Just flip it to him? Hey,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. I would just turn around and start fighting the catcher. I'd rip his mask off. Do something. I'm not going to run out to the mound. That's just wasting energy.
And it sets a bad example for young kids. Now I see it in college. I see it, young pro ball guys, they're into bat. That's part of the dialogue now is about bat flips. Did you see that? You see him pimp that home run, man.
And the chain flip, the chain pop. They're like, boop, boop. Like Domingo Ayala. He's like, yeah, flip the bat and then pop your chain. Which is totally ridiculous. Oh, totally ridiculous. All right, so let's go over some of these things. We got one of the guys who watches our show, Artie Schmidt. He sent some stuff in for us.
Okay.
Let's talk about a little bit of this. He asked about exercises to increase your agility, your first step quickness, and your hand and forearm strength. Let's talk about those things. Now, just granted, at home, folks, we are not personal trainers. We do not have, we didn't go to school for that. We played the game, and
I have a great resource. Anything that has to do with conditioning, I know one of my best friends is one of the best in the world at this, and you could go to Kanzler Performance, Kanzler. Mm-hmm. You could tell him that I told you you're a friend of mine, and give him specific questions, and he'll give you specific exercises. I personally don't believe that you need strong hands and forearms. I'm not sure that's something I would work on. I would focus more on. I've come full circle with the whole conditioning thing. I think players today are over-conditioned, and I think that baseball's a game where you need to have core strength, and you need to be really nimble. And I would have, if I had a team right now of like high school to college age, my players would learn dance. I'd have dancers. I want my players to have like those dancers' bodies where they're light, nimble, and durable.
What about gymnastics? You think gymnastics?
I think gymnastics is good. I think gymnastics is good. Anything where you have to be agile and nimble, where you have to control the movement of your body and in turn develop strength. If you go to the ballet, you will see some of the strongest guys you've ever seen in your life.
You'll see some of the most athletic moves you'll ever see.
No baseball player is going to be able to do what you see guys in the New York City Ballet do. You're just not going to be able.
When I went to see Alvin Ailey dance, the dance troupe in New York when I was in college, that was it for me. I was like, oh my God, those are the most athletic dancers and people I had ever seen. I was like, holy, I couldn't believe what they were doing, how far they were jumping, and how, the spins they were doing and everything. I was just amazed by it. So what I did was, when I was playing professional baseball in the off season, I took ballet, and I also took tap, just for the rhythm of it. And it really helped me. When I played, if I got too bulky, I didn't feel comfortable playing, and I felt like my swing was slow if I put too much muscle mass on. So there was a fine line. What I would try and do is get stronger, but not get bigger, not get tight. And I would do exercises that were more endurance, muscular endurance, as opposed to bulking up and getting big.
I don't think there's any coincidence between the increased amount of time that players now spend in the weight room and the drastically increased amount of injuries, especially injuries to connective tissue. Players are far less durable than they should be, given the amount of time they spend on their bodies. I mean, players should rarely get hurt and they get hurt at a very, very high rate.
Alarming rate. Alarming rate. Look at the Yankees right now.
Yeah,
they can't.
Yeah, it's all over. It's an epidemic. Staying healthy is almost impossible. Yet, players have never been more affluent. Players have never had more access to trainers. Players have never trained more. You know, players only take a couple of weeks off and then they're in the gym. I'm shocked by that. And I say, you know, I look at guys that played a long time. You know, Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter was not a physical specimen. Tony Gwynn played over 20 years. Tony Gwynn certainly was not a physical specimen. He was an outfielder in the National League, and he played for 20 seasons. He wasn't spending a lot of time in the gym. A lot of pitchers that have had great success were not cut-up physical specimen. And I really do believe that it's worth examining the methods by which we train relative to the high rate of injuries. I would focus on core. I would focus on, agility drills and things like that. But I would be very careful about feeling the need to put on mass. I just would. So,
that being said, what about his specific question was agility, first-hand step quickness. How important is that at the youth level, doing exercises like this? I really don't think it's that important. I think it's more important for them to get out and learn the fundamentals and learn how to play the game as opposed to working on agility drills and doing things like that. So I think Tommy froze up, but we'll get him right back, and he'll answer that question for us. But that's where I stand. I stand with the. I got you back, Tommy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I stand with at the youth level. You really don't need those types of exercises, and I mean, it makes them a better athlete if they're doing some kind of agility drills and things like that, but not to the level where it interferes with them learning the fundamentals of the game. You should be spending that time with youth baseball players learning how to play baseball.
On my website, there are a couple of videos we're doing with some of our. Actually, one of our guys in the video, I think, is in AA right now. Cape guys, we're doing some pretty cool infielder agility drills that we do. They're logical. You could figure them out yourself. But on my website, if you check it out at TommyWeberBaseball.com and go on the videos, you'll see a lot of the stuff that we do. I even with you, I always had my players moving when they were doing something. Whether they were walking towards me, I hit you a ball, so now you've got to brace and move one direction or another. Or outfielders, I like the drill where you stand in front of the outfielder and you say left, he pivots left. You say right, he pivots right, and then you throw one over his head and he's got to move to the ball that's hit directly over his head. So I think those things help you with your first step and your quickness. I think those kinds of agility drills blended with the ball batted to you or the ball rolled to you or the ball thrown to you develop nimbleness and agility. So that's what I would do.
Okay. Now going on to the hand and forearm strength stuff. When I played, and this was a Tom Hain thing, actually, the bucket of rice.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
Well, in the Chicago Cubs clubhouse or the Orioles, wherever we were, there was always a bucket or a trash can with rice in it, so you could do the exercises and drills. I'll tell you what, I did some, I would always, after a game, whether I played or not, and the older I got, the more I was platooning, so I would work out, I had a certain workout routine, but after every game, I would go in the clubhouse, after every game, like every other game, I would go into the clubhouse and I would do the rice bucket. I would do wrist curls with the dumbbells. And by the time I was done, my forearms I had a pretty good workout. So things like that, I think you can do to increase your hand and grip strength. But you're going to increase it anyway by swinging the bat.
Right. And catching the ball.
Yeah,
you're going to do that anyway. I would be, in today's day and age, if I had like one thing that I would do, my players would be throwing medicine balls all the time.
Oh, all the time. That's a great workout. Yes.
Rotational exercises with resistance, however you want to formulate them, you can't go wrong. You want to develop, everything you do involves moving the center of your body and allowing your arms to kind of go along for the ride, which is why I'm not a big advocate of developing necessarily arm strength, because
Sure.
the strength comes from the ability to move the mass. The
Sure.
more speed with which you could move the big part of your body, the more power you're going to have, whether it's throwing, hitting, or whatever you do. Being a tennis player, a boxer, it's all about moving the middle.
So what I did see recently was a video by it was one of those scientific training videos. They had a pitcher go out and he warmed up and then he threw 92, right? And then they had him do 2 sets of deadlifts with a certain amount of weight, and he did 10 each, right? And then he got back on the mound, and then he threw again, increased his velocity to 96 within 5 minutes. Now, they did this a bunch of times with a bunch of different pitchers, and it was consistent, and their average was 4 to 6 miles per hour for each pitcher. The reason being is when you do that kind of an exercise, a deadlift like that, it incorporates every muscle group in your body,
Right.
and it fires them all up and gets them going. Whereas opposed to when you are warming up to pitch, you're warming up your legs because you got to balance, right? And you're warming up your upper body up here, but not everything, not all of it is incorporated. So what it was, the concept was that exercise woke up the entire system, neurologic, and with your brain and your muscles, and allowed you to have more strength behind when you threw. And
For how long?
I didn't get that information.
That would be the litmus test. Does that last 6 pitches, or does it last 4 innings? Does
I don't
it
know.
last the whole game?
I didn't know. I can go back and rewatch the video and see if they gave us that information. But we'll say this: in the off season, when you are training, you should do those types of exercises that engage your full body, instead of just doing bench press. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And doing leg extensions. I mean, they're good, but they're more for it's a different kind of a workout.
I think also in any kind of training, you have to understand where do you get your best bang for your buck. And that is where you have to really do an honest assessment of how much time you have. Mm-hmm. Because if you're in the Northeast, and I know this doesn't go over big, the last thing I would worry about is conditioning and fitness. You can't afford to worry about that. You only have 6 months on the field, maybe 7 months, which means you get 5 months where you're indoors. If you're going to spend those 5 months indoors conditioning, you're so far behind anyone who plays below the Mason-Dixon line. You're losing. You're essentially you're throwing good money after bad. You're taking your time and you're wasting it. You're not getting your money's worth. It's because all the upside is in being a better player. A young person can develop their body and make their body different in 3 months. Let's face it, if you're not how many guys have you ever seen in your playing, coaching, living life that you said, he's just not strong enough? But you've seen a million who you said, this kid stinks, he can't play.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
I honestly have never seen a single player as a coach, as a coach or manager, who I said, oh, he'd be so much better if he got in the weight room. I've never seen that kid.
I've seen. Here's what I will say about that: at the older level, at the high school level, the college level, and the professional level, you're right. I've never seen that. But at the youth level, right when they are that transition, the awkward teen stage or whatever.
Right, he might be too small.
Yeah, that kid needs a little bit more balance, a little bit more core strength. That's where I've seen it.
I agree,
but not at the higher level.
That's also at a stage where, in development, there's a mismatch where a little kid could be playing against a bigger person.
Absolutely,
when that
did the other day.
Starts to level out, I've just never seen a kid who I said, oh my God, this kid's unbelievable, if he just was stronger.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a really good player already and you want to get stronger,
that's a different point.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But there are very few guys who are so good that the only thing they need to do is get in the weight room. No. And there are a million guys whose skill level is so lacking that the only thing they should be doing is hitting, pitching, throwing, and
Fielding.
doing baseball stuff. Right.
Yeah. How about you get out and you field 100 ground balls and learn how to catch the ball when it's thrown to you at first base? That would be great. You're going to spend all that time in the weight room. So
I would venture to say there are a lot of young players playing the game who don't catch 200, 300 ground balls the whole season, let alone every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking the whole season, summer season, the ridiculous nature of showcase travel baseball, where you go to these stupid tournaments and there's no time to do anything except play, so nobody gets any work.
You get 5 ground balls to show how hard you can throw from deep short.
Right, that's at a showcase. And at a tournament, they basically want to get as many games in as possible, and I understand that. So it's not like you're getting early work and you're getting 100 ground balls. So I'm really not sure from a development perspective what the value is in that. So if you're not doing that, and in the wintertime you're going into the gym, well, how much work are you really doing at all in baseball?
You're not at a lot of these tournaments too, Tommy. They don't allow you to
I know that.
work out at all.
They can't afford.
Yeah,
they can't afford it.
All
Time
you do
is too precious.
All you do is warm up and play the game. That's it.
Right.
You don't get a chance to
know.
take ground balls. You can't. There's no infield. There's no nothing. You just go and
that's also a difficult thing for people to accept. But it's the reality. I understand there are a lot of people who really want what's best for their kid and the team that they coach. But the reality is you're behind the 8 ball if you're up here and you're playing this kind of baseball.
All right, enough about exercises. The fact of the matter, I think we both agree, Tommy, get out and play baseball. Play baseball. You want to build your strength, play baseball. If you want to, and we've talked about this before, play other sports if you want, I believe in my sports background, playing basketball and playing football helped me with my speed, my agility, my jumping ability, all of that. So get out and do something as opposed to sitting around doing nothing. That would be...
I understand, guys are frustrated. Artie must be a frustrated guy. It's hard. How often do kids play 3 days in a row?
Yeah.
You need to play 23 days in a row.
They don't.
I said this the other day to somebody. You could drive 100 miles an hour up the streets at 3:30 or 4 o'clock on Staten Island. There's nobody on the street. Kids are never in the street playing anything, having a catch, playing pepper, doing anything. So, there's a real handicap for the player today if he wants to be a better player because there just aren't enough avenues for him to play.
Yeah. I was driving down my street the other day, Tommy, and there were 4 kids out in the field playing baseball.
Oh.
You know what I did? Stopped.
Take a picture.
I stopped. I reached in the back of my truck, grabbed a couple baseballs, said, here you go. Guys, here's a couple more balls in case, you lose one gets ruined. Here's a couple more. Stop by, I'll give you more if you need them. Next time you see me, just, hey, Mr. Arnold, could I have some baseballs? I got a whole bucket.
That speaks to how little kids are playing the game.
Yeah.
And I understand everybody's now looking for some other way that their kid could get good rather than play because they know the kid doesn't play that much.
Yeah.
So what do? They go to the weight room. They go to an exercise. They get into all this exercise stuff that you see on Twitter. That's all well and good if you can already play.
Yeah. I wonder if we're getting any conversations on the other feed. Let me take a check, Tommy. What's happening here is I'm not getting any on the watch party. Let me see if we got any on our regular Facebook page. Nope, nobody loves us.
It is Easter.
It is Easter. Everybody's watching 10 Commandments. Or was that? That was on last night.
Yesterday.
Yeah, that was on last night. So I don't know. Maybe they're watching what's his name, Hoppy, the Easter Bunny movie, that new kids movie. My kids were watching it. You know what I did today, Tommy? Tommy froze up again. Oh, Tommy, you're killing me. All right, let me bring Tom back. Disconnect, reconnect. Whoa, he's not there. Disconnect, reconnect. There you are. Gotcha. Boom. You know what I did today, Tommy?
What?
I went bowling, and I kicked my kid's butt in bowling.
Good.
Yeah, all of
Good.
them. I said, that's a lesson. You guys need to You need to be in a bowling league when you're a kid, like I
Right.
was.
Right. Smoke-filled bowling alley.
I'll tell you what. When I was a kid, Tommy, there were 3 things that you needed to learn how to do in South Jersey, right? 3 things. You root for the Philadelphia teams, right? You learn to eat a cheesesteak, and you're in a
you
bowling
bowled.
league, and you bowl.
Absolutely.
That's what you did.
I loved bowling. as a
Me
kid.
too. I loved it too. We were in a league. It was fantastic. My mom would drive us up on Saturday morning, drop us off. We would be there for 3-4 hours. It was
You
fantastic.
walk in, there's a cloud of smoke,
Smoke.
hanging over the alley. Oh my god!
Even on Saturday morning.
Oh my god!
It was crazy back then. We went to La Martinique Lanes. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
I used to bowl at Victory Lanes on Victory Boulevard, which is
Oh,
now
yeah.
a TD Bank.
I bowled when I was in college. We went there and we bowled. That was cool. All right, so Artie had another question, Tommy, and we've talked about this before. Staying inside the baseball. You know, you hear instructors talk about knob to ball. You talk about keeping your hit in the inner half, keeping your hands inside. I agree and disagree with those terms, but that's how I teach it, you know, and you may teach it differently. And if you can get that through to somebody, how to do that, to be quicker with their hands, to not get super huge. Because kids, when they're young, and you know that, they cast the bat out like this. They go first movement is out, and then they try to swing it, as opposed to coming, you know, inside on the inner half. So how would you teach a young kid?
I would. I believe the dog has to wag the tail doesn't wag the dog. I think it's all from the middle out. I want your hands to be passive. I don't believe that you have quick hands. If you tried to hit the ball with just your hands, the ball wouldn't go 100 feet.
Yeah.
I think it's the coordination and the sequencing of moves, you know, with your body and your arms. I think that once your arms get ahead and active, that's when you
Lost them again.
That's when you cast the bat.
Okay.
When your body leads and your arms follow, it's almost impossible to cast the bat because your arms are doing what they should do. They're kind of just going along for the ride. The bat kind of drops. It gets weightless. And once the bat is weightless behind you, now your body can move and turn and create a lot of torque and speed with the bat. When your hands get active, the bat gets slow. You know, I've had some really good hitters. Nick Dunn, who's with the Cardinals now. I talked to Nick a lot. I spent 2 years with him. And really just one of the best hitters I've ever seen. Left-handed. And he said, when I'm hitting, I feel like my arms are doing nothing. Like they're just responding. And the bat feels very, you know, I'm almost not holding the bat. Like the bat is just cradled. And I allow he was left-handed. And he used to get his chest would be facing right center field before he ever engaged the ball with the bat, like Barry Bonds used to do. So if you really study good hitters, it's body first, and the bat needs to be the last, like a tennis racket. That tennis racket is last. As they turn out towards their left, that tennis racket is last. And that's how you can be inside of the ball. I don't like inside because inside, I don't know if you could see it, feels to me like the image is to go that way, this way with the bat, to shove the bat this way. Whereas if you can just focus on a big motion, which is my body being in charge and my hands being passive, my hands and arms along for the ride, it will affect an inside to out path of the bat.
Okay, so if I'm working with a kid, he's got a big loopy swing. He casts the bat out.
I would take his bat. I'll tell you a great drill.
I got him working on a tee.
I would hold his bat, and I tell him to swing. Because as you hold his bat and he starts to swing, his body's going to move away and around him, and the bat's still going to lag. He's going to get that feeling of
the tension.
Body moving and the tension that's created by the bat still staying behind him. Whereas what he's doing is he's getting the bat ahead. Yeah. The bat ahead. So if you let him swing and just hold his bat, he's now going to feel, oh, wow, my left side, like my left chest is moving further away from the bat as I start to swing. My left chest is not staying there, and my right shoulder is coming over the top.
So what would you say to a guy who was teaching hitting and he's telling the hitter, you know, hit the ball back through the originator, hit the ball back from gap to gap, up the middle. What, you know, stay.
I think that's the right way to teach.
Right?
I think you got to hit the ball to the fat part of the field.
Yeah, in the center. Now, if you get an inside pitch, right,
it'll take care of itself.
Yeah, and I've had the hardest time, and it's changed recently because of the launch angle and all of this. But 10 years ago, when I was coaching baseball, right, every hitter that I came across was hitting the ball to right field. Every right-handed hitter, everything was inside out, a flailing type of a swing, a lot of duck farts like this. Nobody was driving the baseball. I would just get a lot. Nobody pulled the ball at all. Even when it was an inside pitch, they would all just try to fight it off and hit it the other way.
That was inside the ball on steroids. I used to say guys would hit the ball over the right, a right-handed hitter would hit the ball over the first base dugout, and guys would say good swing.
Yeah.
And I was like, good swing.
How is that?
He's late, right? Everybody was late, and even if the ball was inside, they were still late because they were trying to get their left hand inside the ball. So the bat would always be behind rather than thinking, I'm just going to let my body's going to turn and the bat's going to do what it has to do. And I'm going to think middle of the field. I heard a guy say the same exact thing. Even when the ball's inside, I'm trying to hit it to right field. What?
No, why would you do that?
I have no idea.
Cut it off out in front and rip that sucker down the left field line.
I think you're swimming upstream when you're trying to hit something that's on the inner half over the first baseman's head.
Look, now, I don't have a problem with a ball that's down the middle or to the outer half of the plate going the right field with that thing all day long. But when it's on the inner half, man, let go. Let that. And if you yank it foul, you yank it foul. But I think too many hitters get into this mentality that they have to keep the ball in play and they have to direct it up the middle or to the right side. And I don't think you need to do that. I just think you need to put a good swing on it. And what happens, happens. You hit it good. You know.
Right. If you get the bat in the hitting zone early enough, you're going to probably, if you're on time, right? If you're on time, you're going to hit the ball where it needs to be hit because you've got the best chance because the bat is in the zone the longest period of time. The bat now becomes like a broom that you're swinging. It's sweeping through the hitting area. So if it's outside, it'll get hit a little further back. If it's over the plate, it'll get hit towards the middle of the field. And if you just continue to turn and the ball is inside, it will get cut off, as you say, and hit to left field.
Yeah. And is there anything wrong with hitting the ball out in front?
You have to hit the ball. The only time you don't hit the ball out in front, you're always hitting the ball out in front. It's just the angle changes between right, left, and center. That's all.
Well, you hear these hitting instructors, especially at the youth level, you'll hear this all the time. Let the ball travel. Let it get deep.
In my opinion, is the worst piece. I hate words that are passive. When you say let the ball do anything, I think that's one of the worst images you could create in a hitter's head. You want to do something to the ball. You don't want to let the ball do anything.
So I get letting the pitch on the outer half of the plate, maybe letting that ball come to you a little bit more, but I don't like telling them to let it travel because now they think in their head, especially when they're younger, that you mean every pitch right across the spectrum. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's inside, outside, no matter what, they feel as if they got to let them all travel now. Try that when somebody's throwing 90 on your hands.
I don't even know if you're letting that ball do anything.
No, you're staying back. You're staying back.
Right. You're positioning yourself. The ball is in such a spot that if you're going to hit it with the barrel of the bat, you're going to have to hit it a little deeper because it's further away from you. Right? You have to. If you're going to hit it with the barrel of the bat, you're going to hit it on time. I've seen guys who are really good hitters. David Wright did this. David Wright turned right field into center field. So he always he thought of right field as center field. So when he was pulling the ball, he was hitting it to dead center field. And I've seen a lot of really good hitters do that. I had a couple of lefty hitters with me who it seemed like they made the left field foul pole their center field. So they were never opening too quickly. They were always trying to run the ball into left center field. And they were quick enough and responded fast enough so that if the ball was thrown in the middle, they just kept going. They just would speed up. The bat is, if it's on plane, it's going to be able to hit. If there were 3 balls thrown consecutively, you should be able to hit all 3, right? If you have a good swing. So you should be able to hit right, center, left. If you have a good enough swing and your swing's on plane.
No, well, that's key. You got to be consistent too.
Right. It's where the ball is pitched that determines where you're hitting it. You're not going to let the ball that's inside get deep. Otherwise, it's going to hit you in the pelvis.
Yeah. And remember, Tommy, there's somebody standing 60 feet away from you trying to trick you every single time. He ain't out there just grooving it down the middle.
Hitting is the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
Unless you have a pitcher.
Yeah, unless you got a guy throwing a curveball or a slider on the black or a changeup.
It's the pitcher that makes it difficult. This round bat, round ball nonsense is ridiculous. Because if you took batting practice, you'd hit line drives all day long. So would I. I mean, if I got in the cage...
I can do anything with the ball during batting practice.
Right. It's the pitcher that makes it difficult.
If the pitcher's throwing strikes during batting practice, I can hit the ball on the ground for a hit and run. I can hit the ball the other way to get him over. I can lift the ball to get him in. I can do all of that. Right? But as soon as you get a guy out there throwing 90 and it's got movement on it, then the game changes. Now it's different. Now you have to have a good, consistent swing every time. And I'll tell you what, sometimes you get beat. And guess what? You get out in front on that front foot and you still flick a line drive into center field.
That's right.
And you get a hit. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you miss it. Right? I will say that the better hitters that you see, like an Albert Pujols or a Mike Trout or, the guys, I'm naming the guys today that are Yelich. That guy is amazing. I'm telling you, he's just phenomenal. But those guys, when they're going good, they hit the ball the other way in that opposite gap.
Yep.
Like nobody's business. I mean, it's just amazing to watch those guys when they're going good and like you can't get them out. They just pepper that, opposite field gap like it's nobody's business. And then if it's inside, boof, they turn on it. All right, let me bring Tommy back, and then we're going to wrap this up. Let me disconnect you. Where you at, T? All right, so we lost Tommy for a second there. He'll be back. Give me one more second. There he is. I got you back. You're in.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. My cell phone keeps going wacky on me. All right, anyway, Webbs, there was a good little talk about hitting right there at the end. I always love talking about hitting. I spent many a day in the cage working, trying to get to be a better hitter. If you look back at my career, I wasn't considered a great hitter, but I was considered the guy that would get the guy over, get him in, get the bunt down, do the things necessary to, get on base, score runs. That was essentially my job. And, just talking about that kind of stuff and trying to be a better hitter and hit more line drives and be more consistent, I think, that's a great conversation because there are some hitters out there that are just above and beyond your average hitters. I mean, your friend from ASU.
Hunter Bishop.
Yeah, I mean, that kid is just he's another level, you know what I mean? He's a man playing amongst boys right now. He's hit, 20 home runs now in his college season?
It's insane.
So,
well, I mean, Hunter's, that's when I met Hunt in 2017, it took about 30 seconds to realize that this guy was, different. 6'5" and runs like the wind and highly intelligent, hits the ball 500 feet. What more do you need to know? But the problem is that Hunter is irrelevant. You can't want to be Hunter Bishop.
Not if you're 5'7".
Right. You want to be. You should watch the kid with the Mets, Jeff McNeil. He chokes up with 2 strikes. Mm-hmm. He tries to make contact. Today I saw him just flip at a ball. He took 2 strikes, no stride, widened his stance, went up that far on the bat. I said, wow, this guy wants to get a hit. He's not going to strike out. He wound up flying out to left field. But, that's a guy, you should watch hit. He understands the strike zone. He battles when there are 2 strikes. He does anything he can not to strike out. That's the model that you should you should go after. Not Hunter Bishop, who is the outlier of outliers. Hunter is just a special, not only a special player, but he's a special kid and person. Just, he's different. So, some kids, they are.
They're built different.
Right.
When I saw Vladimir Guerrero play for the first time, I was just like, okay, that guy, he's just toying with us right now because he can.
Right.
And that was just, and just watching him do things that other people just couldn't do. Good players too couldn't do. You're just like, whoa, all right. All right, Tommy. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, man.
Good talking to you. Thank you for whoever was watching. We didn't get any comments from anybody. Victor Coco wasn't on.
Wow.
Renee wasn't on. Those guys must have been like Easter drunk. I don't know, something. But thanks for joining me. We'll be back next week.
And Artie Schmidt, if he wants, he could just email me. I'd be more than happy to have a dialogue with him.
Yep, and you can hook him up with Kanzler Sports. And
he should definitely go to Jason.
He does have a website, and he does put his videos up. And
and once
he
you
has
tell
programs.
him, that you know me, he'll help you out.
All right, so Tommy, where can people watch your podcast or listen to
Tommy
your podcast?
Weber Baseball.com.
All right, there it is. And just click on the podcast link right up there at the top. You see it right there? That's pretty.
It's Kanzler and AJ. There you go, man.
Awesome.
The Tide.
All right,
Pretty
Tommy.
Cool. All right, man.
I will talk to you next week.
Okay.
We actually had a game the other night. We got our butts whooped because we were playing against kids who were 15 and we're 12 and 13. One kid was throwing like 85, and my kids had never seen that. They were just
God.
They were just like, what was that? But, hey, they went up there and they saw it. And now they know what they need, what they got to do to get better. So
that's good.
Yeah, they know what they need to do to get better. So, anyway. All right, Tommy, I'll talk to you later. Have a great night.
Love you, man.
Love you. Talk to you.